we have to bring it up. Scored 66 last night. Auston Matthews becomes the 11th player in NHL history to score 66 goals. He's the first since Mario Lemieux 28 years ago to do so. Passes Alex Ovechkin, his single season record at 65. I'm not doing this for like a Toronto-based thing here, just strictly talking about the player, his goal scoring, his ability. There's 4 games remaining in the season. I think most people in Toronto here anticipate he's not going to play all 4 of the final games here. He needs 4 in 4. Rob, does he get to 70 this season? And I mean, I guess a part of that, what do you make of the goal scoring that he's done this season and just kind of where he's launched himself to in the all-time goal scorers conversation in the NHL?
Yeah, I don't think he's going to get there, especially if there's meaningless games at the end of the season. I think there's a decent chance that even though he's going for 70, he might not end up playing. And that's if, the Florida-Boston situation's resolved and the Leafs just get locked into their spot. It's pretty apparent over the last month or so that, I mean, he's an elite goal scorer, but he's taking it to the level of like, I'm shooting from everywhere at this point. Like, he really wants to get that milestone, and his teammates are aware of it. Domi doesn't even look to shoot ever at this point. He just looks up for Matthews on the ice. But it's incredible. I mean, he's such a great goal scorer. People diminish goal scoring, right? That's my biggest pet peeve is like when people just look at the point totals. They're like, oh, you're going to put Matthews in the same conversation as McKinnon and McDavid and Kucherov when these guys' points are so much higher. It's very hard to score goals in the league and consistently do so, and he's done that. Obviously, great season, but at the end of the day, the season is not going to matter. The 66, whatever it ends up with, is not going to matter unless the Leafs do something in the playoffs, and that's just how it's always going to be remembered. So, incredible season, but it's got to extend into the postseason at this point.
Yeah, I don't see 70 happening here, unfortunately. I think it would be cool to see, but just based on what he's going to have to overcome, pretty much we're going to have to look at him getting like 2 or 3 here on Thursday, against the Devils for it to have any shot.
Very possible against
it's possible.
Yeah, I mean, looking just to chime in really quick, like I think kind of to Rob's point, like it's definitely going to come down to the next couple of games at home. Like I think, like you said, like everyone's just going to force feed him at home. So you know what? All of a sudden he gets 2 versus the Devils and he's at 68. Like maybe that changes if he plays a game down the stretch, right? Like I think the next 2 games, especially with the last 2 being at home, like they're just going to try to force feed him and then go from there. But like if he's at 69 goals going into that last game, like maybe there's a shot that they play him where they otherwise wouldn't, right? Like, and I don't know enough about what Keith would do to really say that, but maybe if he gets to that point, there is where if he doesn't,
like
I
is
would.
A milestone of 70, like an arbitrary number of 70, that important that you would play him in the last game and risk anything or something happening? I definitely would not either.
To me, I wouldn't, and this is kind of something that I've talked about with the Rangers, right? Like down the stretch, what are you doing with these guys? Are you resting them or are you playing them? And basically what I said is like, first of all, you're going to have a break because I think there's like a 4 or 5 day break before the playoffs, if I'm correct, after the Rangers schedule ends on, I think it's Monday. So they're going to have a long break.
If it ends on Monday, then there's a long break for the Rangers, yeah.
But I'm not making whatever I am doing, I'm doing regardless of if President's Trophy is at stake. I'm doing regardless of kind of all those other factors, right? Like if I'm playing Jonathan Quick Monday night to give Igor some extra rest, I'm playing Quick Monday night, even if Monday night could clinch President's Trophy. So I'm not really thinking about it any differently based on some of these other milestones that don't really matter. Now, obviously, being top of the East matters a lot for kind of your matchup going forward. So, like, that's a different story. But no, like, if I'm Toronto, I'm not playing him just for a milestone.
Yeah, no.
They couldn't get him on the ice. They couldn't get him on the ice for the empty netter yesterday, which if he was at 67, that would have changed things a little bit with these upcoming home games. But David Kampf, for some reason, just didn't want to change. And then they took an icing and he was stuck on the ice and Bertuzzi iced the empty netter. But even up from that reaction from Matthews on the bench when Bertuzzi scored the empty netter, though, it was very positive. Like, I know the milestone's on his mind, but I don't think it's the be all and end all, honestly. I do think that if the team went to him and said, like, listen, there's no great season, we don't want you getting hurt here, we can't improve in the standings, he would sit down, no problem. So I do think these next couple games he's going to go hard, as he has been recently, shooting from everywhere, like doesn't matter. Bertuzzi goes right to the net, stands in front of the goalie, and Domi's going to find Matthews on the ice, and that's what they've been doing, and it's working. But yeah, I 70 is going to be a challenge with the way that it's set up for him right now.
You've got teams that are jostling for playoff positions and playoff space, like division wins and stuff like that are still going to be resting guys, right? And then like you're going to justify playing a guy just chasing an individual accolade. I can't see it. So I'm curious as to what you guys. We don't have to keep this discussion going longer, but like, what would you set an over/under goals total for Matthews in the playoffs this year? Like full playoffs. What would the over/under be?
Well, it'll be underdogs in round one if they're starting on the road. So you'd probably have to set like full playoffs. Let's say like 45% to win round one. I don't know. It would probably be something like 3.5.
I was thinking 4 was the first number that came to my mind.
4, yeah, I had 4.5. I was thinking 4.5 maybe.
4.5 juiced under, 3.5 juiced over. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's going to score 4 in the first game. Game 1.
If he went over 4.5, that would tie his career best. So that would be impressive.
Can we mute the mic at this point?
I kind of just didn't want to answer because I knew. I didn't want to answer.
Set that one up.